John Emmett, first one on here, at least at our end. Ed Worley saying hi from SoCal. Emmett back home in Weymouth. Texting with him this morning, as usual, on show days. Christopher Gillingham, ahoy, Tom and Julia, welcome back. The breeze is on this weekend in the Solent, batten down the hatches. Fair winds from Chris and Jane. Always nice to see the Gillinghams on. Gordon Smith in Denmark. Well, he's actually in the Danish island of Bornholm. Chris Exley is with us. Hi, Chris. Peter Taylor in New York City. And Clayton Embley, greetings from the wheelhouse of the ferry boat. That's interesting looking. Stingray cheers from a comfortable mid-70s Seattle afternoon. Well, it must be sunny up there. Julie Aarons in Cleveland, where it's also warm and sunny. Carlos Aviz in South America saying hi to the Fozy and to us here in Studio B as we get this one ready to get off the starting line. Welcome. Everybody, welcome to show number 633, back here in the saddle, back in the saddle again here at Studio B at the Beach Street Yacht Club, along with Julia Vedekint, the co-host, coordinating producer, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. As you all know, I'm your host, Tom Eman, and we can turn off, I think, those credits. It was a really great almost 2 weeks for me in Michigan, Julia, and as you know, having chatted a little bit with you, I haven't given you the full details, but my mom is hanging in there, and
she is.
It was great to spend some time with her. 89-year-old beloved Jan Dav, as we call her, Janice Davis. My dad is 90, working all day, every day, and he's fine, too. How are you, Julia? Did you miss me while I was gone?
Oh, I miss you desperately.
Oh, you did just fine. Talking to Sharon this morning, your morning lady and
yes.
chief of staff, as we call her.
Right.
I got that name from Andy Rose.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's what he called his late great mother's help at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Hey, just carrying on here, you see this slide from Mary Longpre. She took that photo last year at the 2022 Governor's Cup, since we're really on Governor's Cup road to the 2023 Governor's Cup. But this is what the kids do at the end of the regatta, the winners at least. And this is Jordan Stevenson from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and his team after they won last year an epic final against Jeffrey Peterson, the local yacht club favorite. Jeffrey will be back sailing this year, but not Jordan Peterson. But that's what they do, and I thought that would be fun to put that in our cover, our opening slide. I want to thank Craig Keevey, who was our guest.
Yes.
We didn't do a show Tuesday because I was flying. It was a travel day back here to San Francisco from Michigan, but we did have Craig Keevey, an esteemed conservationist, but he's also past Commodore of Portage Yacht Club, the club I grew up in Michigan, outside of Ann Arbor, and he was a wonderful guest, I thought. Julia, what do you think?
I think he was terrific.
And he's doing some great things for our little lake, and if he can do it and others can do it, then we can do it anywhere. And bravo Zulu to him. Thanks again for being our guest, Craig, on the show last Friday.
What's fun about him is his enthusiasm. No matter what was about, he was fully engaged and fully enthusiastic.
And a great salesperson, too.
Yeah.
He's articulate and bright and fun. He's a hell of a good sailor.
Yeah.
And I've known him virtually all my life. Yeah. And he and his brothers on and off. I don't think Craig we talked about it. I don't think he ever crewed for me. But we raced against each other, with each other. His brothers crewed for me, a couple of them. Also, Clark Chapin was with us.
Yes.
In both of the shows in Michigan. Thanks again, Clark, our super Fozy, who helps Julie and myself with lots of different aspects, back office, behind the scenes stuff here with the show. Always nice to have Clark.
He's getting to be really professional with his maps and charts.
The stuff he did, exactly. The stuff he did for the ocean race
was better than anybody's on or off any
world exclusive.
Absolutely.
Only we had that here.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Clark. And he won he's also racing in the same classes that I borrowed my dad's Interlake, the 18-foot sloop rig boat, has a kite. and we talked a little bit about it on both shows. But he won both nights, and I did win a race, a couple races, I guess. But Clark's still the best, and he's also a great race officer, manager, rules guru, and we appreciate very much him coming on both of those Michigan shows. Julia?
Sir.
What are we celebrating today? There's a clue.
The 14th of
July.
July, which is the Liberation Day for France.
Well, liberation of what? The Bastille prison.
Bastille.
Remember, they call it Bastille. We call it Bastille Day.
We do.
But the French don't. We'll test your French here in a minute. So what are we celebrating today? Well, around the world, it is called Bastille Day because a couple of different things. Get ready to celebrate France's national holiday of fireworks parades. Well, that's been going on. In fact, here's a live look at Paris tonight, as you can clearly see. Oops, there's a commercial. Some guy changing into his... That's what happens when you go to live YouTube videos. We get rid of that commercial. Mm-hmm. Live look at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It's been a rough period. It's been a rough week there. Yeah. But today they had the usual fireworks and the huge military parade. In fact, some people say it's the largest military parade in the world every year on the 14th of July. They call it the French National Day. It's the anniversary of the storming of the Bastille prison on the 14th of July, 1789, a major event of the French Revolution, as well as, Julia, you can pronounce that in French better than I.
The Fête de la Fédération.
Federation that celebrated the unity of the French people a year later in 1790. Celebrations are held throughout France, obviously. One that has been reported as the oldest, largest military parade in Europe is held on the 14th of July on the Champs-Élysées in Paris in front of the President of the Republic. He was there today, along, by the way, with the Prime Minister of, do you know? He was the guest of honor. Lots of world leaders show up. The Prime Minister of India was there.
Oh, he's been traveling in Europe.
And that was today in front of the President of the Republic, along with French officials and foreign guests. It was a nice affair. But as you all know, we've been reporting and hearing from our friends, and no family, I guess, but lots of friends in France about it. It's been a horrific couple of weeks. It seems to have tapered down, but the government has really put the military and the police out in force over these couple of days. Here's a report from France 24.
This year, the French motto, liberty, equality, and fraternity, will rhyme with security. Bastille Day is usually a night with higher rates of vandalism. This time, days after protests turned into riots across France, the government will deploy extra forces.
The goal is to guarantee maximum security so people can enjoy the national holiday without facing a bunch of offenders. The order is to detain those who try to disrupt public order.
130,000 security officers from Thursday through Saturday, 45,000 every evening. There will also be 34,000 firefighters. Elite forces, helicopters, and drones will be used to monitor the situation. Public transportation, buses and light railway will be suspended at 10 p.m. Some cities are planning exceptional curfews for minors.
Security forces will take minors back to their homes, and the prosecutors will follow up on the case with potential fines.
Rare measures, which are exactly what police and other security forces wanted.
Local officials, police, and everyone don't want to relive the violence we've had a few days ago.
Some towns canceled Bastille Day celebrations altogether to avoid any risk of new vandalism and looting.
Okay, that's the France 24 report. And again, there's the big regatta going on in Marseille. The first test event of all the Olympic sports is going on in Marseille, and they've had to run that regatta sort of in and around the protests. It's been okay, apparently. But a lot of friends in France, a great sailing nation, and we wish all of you a safe and happy, how do you say that, Julie, in French? There it is on your screen.
Yeah. Bon fête.
Bon fête. Is that not, how do you say the national?
National.
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 Happy National Day. Another live look at Paris there, and it's Hope everybody stays safe and has fun. It's been hot, Julia, in Europe. Really hot. It was hot here in the U.S. last week,
Yes.
and it's really hot down in Texas. I see that.
And here it's been rather cool. It was a high of 53 the other day.
I'll tell you what, though, it was so nice to come back from Michigan, where it's this time of year. It's summer. It's hot everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, not everywhere, but in the northern hemisphere at least. And it was hot and humid in Michigan. Much of the, it was fine. The weather was fine, but much of the 10 days, 12 days we were there. But it's the same old here. A high of 61 and a low of 59, I think. Is that how that works?
But and across the state, 10 and 20 miles away, it's 104.
Well, right. You go up to your home
Yeah.
up in Calistoga, your
Right.
cottage up there in wine country in Napa.
Yes.
And it's probably 100 up there, and you go inland
Yeah.
over 100.
Today.
And you go, is it how hot was it? Is it?
I don't. It was forecast to be 104.
And of course, you go inland into the Central Valley, which is why we have a sea breeze here in San Francisco,
Right.
because it heats up in the Central Valley, and it literally, 100 and something, and the air out over the Pacific Ocean is only like 55.
Right.
So the wind doesn't blow here; it sucks.
It does.
The air rises.
Exactly right.
I got to get my hand. The air rises in the Central Valley, sucks the cold air in off the
Yep.
Pacific.
And vice versa.
And it's actually a conveyor belt. It goes up,
Yeah.
falls back down to the ocean, and carries on. Okay, enough of that. Hope you're having good. Stay cool in Europe because it is warm.
It's hard to believe. People don't believe that there's a 40 degrees difference within 10 miles.
Well, you just can drive across the bridge,
Yeah.
across the Golden Gate Bridge, coming back from your place. I've
Right.
noticed, and it'll be 100 or 90 something
Right.
Fahrenheit, and then it's suddenly 61 degrees
I
here
know.
in the marina. Good morning, Hamish Ross, where he's early in Auckland. It's 0812 down there on their Saturday morning. Ted Ryman's in Cape Town, where it's also winter time, although they're enjoying pretty good weather there, I've been noticing. Terry DeYoung is in SoCal, sunny SoCal, where finally summer has arrived. They didn't have much of a spring or early summer down in SoCal, Julia.
I know.
They had June gloom, and they had May gray and June gloom, and even just until recently. Joe Cool. Hello, Joe. James Frederick Bland. It's hotter than a $2 pistol on Saturday night in Austin, Texas, ATX. Julia Aaron's commenting on your pretty scarf and pendant, Julia.
Oh, good.
What's the pendant? I didn't see that.
The pendant is a London blue sapphire.
Dunedin? Dundon. What's that?
London.
Oh, London blue. Show
Good.
us. Lean in a bit and give us a close-up here. This is a fashion show. This is Sailing Illustrated's fashion break.
And I will admit that it is a find from eBay years ago.
Wow. I want to ask you how much it cost.
Well, at about 1/10 of what it was worth.
What it's worth now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Gilling, a marvelous scarf. I was in the out in doing hair and makeup when I shouted to Julie, and I said, "What are you wearing today?" She said, "Black and white." And I said, "Well, that sounds boring." And she said, "Wait till you see the scarf." Indeed. Joe Holtzman saying hi from beautiful Estes, Colorado, and Julie Aaron's agreeing he was fabulous. I assume she is talking about Commodore Craig Keevee, Estes Park, Joe Holtzman. And Neil Collingridge is still in, he's in the Gdynia now for the ILCA Youth Europeans. John's gone home. He was in Poland. We got a scary report from him in a few minutes
Oh, yeah?
about an injury to his neck. Yeah, Craig is cool. Ted Ryman agreeing. Everybody liked Craig. J. Frederick Bland knew it was Bastille Day, or only we Anglos apparently call it that. The French say it's their national day or their what was it, Julia?
Yeah.
It's their national day.
Yeah.
Okay. India. Yep. John Emmett knew that the PM of India was there. I just wish the French wine servers were getting more polite. Aren't they? I think they are, Stinger. I think Paris is entirely more polite, less, they used to be uppity when we'd go
Yeah.
there, and if you didn't speak French.
Yeah. But you could go to the country and they'd be nice.
Well, but I think, too, yeah, that's for sure. But I think the Parisians realize, everybody in all countries around the world realize that the tourist dollar is key. So let's be nice to the toroids, even here in San Francisco, although they're way down given the problems we have in this city. I keep getting, that was one of the things I was asking in Michigan all the time. Is it true what we read in the mainstream media? And I had to say, sorry to say,
Yeah.
it is true.
Mm-hmm.
a bit of a problem. 10 years ago, the Cup races were going on in San Francisco. Ed Worley's reminding us. Yes, indeed. 10 years ago now in July? I don't think so. Weren't they over by now, Ed? Not quite sure. Beginning of the French Revolution and then the Reign of Terror. Our historian, we have two historians on here now, Hamish Ross and Boomer Bland. Medal race tomorrow in, John's referring to the racing that's going on in Marseille in the Olympic test event. Not for Julia's medal, no, Stingray. John replying, Marseille test event, very good indicator of the likely results at the Olympics next year. And he's been reminding us of that all along because he, being the esteemed Olympic coach that he is, would know that. Pressing on here with show number 633. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. It was good to be back. It's a lot easier to produce a show here in the studio where we're all set up and we've got the computers and we've got the lighting and the microphones and push a few buttons and you're on the air.
Right.
But I also told you, Julia, I made a couple mistakes this morning putting the show together. I had one just 20 minutes before we went there.
That's good for you.
And
right.
I used the F-bomb on Julia. I don't often curse with anybody, let alone Julia. But I didn't curse at you, did I?
No.
But
no,
I did use the F-bomb as a out of frustration.
Yeah.
So let's get on the road to the GovCup. We'll do the kids in a minute. Bravo Zulu first to a couple of Bravo Zulus, but to a dear friend, Manoush Moshayedi, who lives down in Newport Beach. He used to be a member of St. Francis, and a couple other clubs are trying to recruit him into the Balboa Yacht Club. A terrific sailor, owns Rio 100, and they won the monohull line honors, first to finish, as we call it in this country. Most of the rest of the world calls it line honors. And I texted back and forth with Manoush this morning, and he sent me some videos. I found some online, but he sent me some videos. Here's one. Early in the race, I believe, when they had to do a jibe, and if you've never been on board a 100-footer or any, a maxi or anything big to see how a boat jibes, especially with a Jenniker up, have a look at this.
Okay, here we go. Driving here.
Aboard Rio 100. Takes a village. So it was a pretty slow race early on, by all reports, and the big boats finally got some air. You start out and it's sort of in Transpac, it's sort of cold, and then you get out,
to get around Catalina.
You get around Catalina, then several hundreds of miles out, you finally you get the big breeze, and you end up surfing into broad reaching into Hawaii, and it's a fabulous trip. And Bravo Zulu 2, this team aboard Rio 100, who were first to finish the monohulls, and Manoush here and his son, Sebastian, won the barn door. Sebastian's the quote-unquote skipper, Manoush the owner. And they won the barn door, which is emblematic of the first to finish monohull. And not only are they first to finish, but they also won the Merlin Trophy. In fact, it's the fastest elapsed time by a monohull, as we've told you. But thanks to its skipper, captain, and crew, this is the very first time in the history of the Transpac, which is from L.A. out to Honolulu, that a boat and its crew win both the barn door and the Merlin Trophy.
So?
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And congrats. Bowie Becking was on the boat, and lots of cool, very good sailors. I got this quote from Manoush this morning, texting with him. He said, I am very delighted that the Rio 100 with Sebastian as its skipper, it's his son there on the right, along with its very capable team, have achieved these great results in Transpac of 2023. This is Team Rio's third barn door trophy and second Merlin trophy. Never before in history of Transpac a yacht has won the Merlin and the barn door in the same year. This is the very first time, and I hope we can repeat these results again
Yes.
in future years. So bravo Zulu to Manoush and to Sebastian and the whole team. This, by the way, it's a nice feature that Transpac does. They give a MVP award. That is, it's picked by the skipper, by the owner, by whomever, by the crew of the winning boat. But Don Vaughn Trophy is presented to the what the team feels was the MVP on their yacht to the monohull with the fastest elapsed time, first to finish. Rio 100 skipper and team have chosen Sinbad, Quiroga, to receive this prestigious award. Congratulations, Sinbad. A job well done. Manouche and Sebastian are pictured here with the Commodore, not my spelling, not my graphic, of Transpac Yacht Club, Tom Trujillo. Tom Trujillo is a hell of a nice guy, Commodore of Transpac. It's an all-volunteer organization. You know, it's one of the great things in our sport is the level of volunteerism, especially at the race management level. Do you know Tom? Have you met Tom?
I haven't, but I know that race well because I met it for about 20 years straight. But what's different now is that you used to have to wait hours for the 10 o'clock report.
Oh, yes.
And the day.
And now you got the tracker.
Yeah, I know.
You got the race tracker.
I know.
You're the racer chaser, Julia Vatican.
Yes, I
go out and
was.
meet the big boats when they arrived in Honolulu. Got another video. This is later in the race. We told you about kind of the big port tack surfing into the Molokai Channel into Hawaii. Have a look at Sebastian driving Rio 100 in the latter stages of the race. This looks like a lot of fun. And again, even straight lining, it takes a number of people up on board trimming and grinding. Keep the boat on its feet. Long, narrow boat.
I love the sound, too.
Remember Robin Williams, the late great comic? He said when he was aboard one of the AC-75s here in San Francisco Bay when Larry was racing Ernesto, we put him in the back of the boat for one of those races, and he came off, he couldn't believe it. He said, "This boat sounds like an old man having sex." Only Robin Williams could come up with something. Bravo Zulu to everybody on Rio 100, Manouche, Moshe, Eddie, and Sebastian on their Bakewell White 100, and good result. And we'll cover some more of the race here next Tuesday. Big event. By the way, another Bravo Zulu. This is, Julia, you watch this show, right?
Yeah, I do.
CBS Mornings. I know you love CBS, especially on Sunday mornings. The liberal that you are.
And that is some of the best journalism around.
CBS.
Especially on Sunday morning.
The Tiffany Network, right? Well, on yesterday morning, thanks, Stingray, for the tip, Charlie Enright was interviewed. He was on the show. It's a 6-minute segment. For the first time, and this is the promo. It's on YouTube. You can watch the segment. I didn't air it because it's a little long, plus I didn't want to risk a copyright strike from CBS. But for the first time in its 50-year history, a U.S. team, CBS says, and it's true, won the ocean race, a 6-month, 36,000-mile sailing race around the world. Team skipper Charlie Enright joined CBS Mornings, the morning show, every morning of the week now. Isn't it also on Saturday?
There's a morning
Sunday?
show every
day of the week.
But the Sunday show is an elaborate sort of magazine format.
Yeah, and it's a couple hours long, and it's more relaxed.
Yes.
But they cover sailing on that show a fair bit, too.
Yeah, they do. It's your mother's favorite show, too.
Well, okay, if it's your favorite show and my mother's favorite show, it must be good. And I mean that sincerely. It didn't come off as a very sincere comment. But Charlie was on yesterday, and it was a long segment, 6-minute segment. I commend it to you. You can watch it on YouTube. Charlie Enright on CBS Mornings is the name of the show. It's their regular morning show. So bravo Zulu to Charlie as well, which gets us to our, this is a bit of a scary update from John Emmett, Super Fuzzy John Emmett, in the coach's corner, where he was until a couple days ago in Poland at the end of the Ilka 6 Youth and Men's World Championships. They had Ilka 6, both for youth and men. There's a women's division, a boys division, and the men's division. Wrapped up on the 9th, 375 entries from 48 countries. And in the men's division, because they're mostly youth, but in the men's, in the Ilka 6, which is a smaller boat, smaller sail area for the laser, there were 16 entries from 14 countries, and John did very well indeed. Here is a video wrap-up of this wonderful regatta. We'll give their sponsors a little bit of love here at the end of that regatta. And here are the winners. Emma Mattivi from Italia is the world champion in the women's division. Mattia Cesana from Italy, the world champion in the youth boys men's division. And then the old farts, George Lane, the world champion from New Zealand, the older gentleman. And there is a shot from the podium with our own super Fozy John Emmett, was third overall. Said he started out a little slow, but came on strong.
I'm glad he got that far.
He did. He had a good regatta at the end, particularly in the last 3 or 4 races. That is George Lane, we mentioned a moment ago, on the podium in first from New Zealand, Bravo Zulu. And Nikola Golubovic from, you know what that MNE Olympic code is, Julia?
No.
MNE.
No.
I wonder if anybody on here besides John Emmett knows what MNE is as an Olympic code.
It might be one of the Russian.
No, not one of the former Soviet republics.
Yeah.
No, it's Montenegro.
Oh, it is.
Montenegro,
Oh.
MNE. And Neil Collingridge, hi Neil, thanks for reminding us that Mattia has won the boys 3 years running medalist national event. No, James Bland. Montenegro, Fritz Mueller knew it. Look, Fritz got it right away. And John did clean up for the podium. I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
And
Montenegro's
yes,
beautiful.
He does. Several of you mentioned already that I've shaved. I had to shave last night because we recorded the segment that we're going to air today on Road to the Governor's Cup. And when we recorded that, it took me a half an hour to shave off 2 weeks of growth, Julia. It was unbelievable. And then it clogged up the drain. I had to get some Drano to clog the unclog. I'm not kidding. Unclog the bathroom drain. Here at the Beach Street Yacht, I'm going to speak to my landlady.
I was going to say, don't tell your landlady
about the drains in this place. Here's John's report. He's back, and this is, well, I'll tell you what. You watch it and tell me if this is not a little scary. Have a look.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. I'm going to talk to you today about injury and recovery. So we've already had a few chats about illness, but this is particularly prevalent for me today because I fairly recently get back from Poland and I do have a little bit of an injury. So I know the Fozy are always worried when I do the walk and the talk that something's going to happen. Well, this happened in a nightclub in Poland, so I'll give you a top tip at the end of the show. But basically I was innocently minding myself trying to dance on dance floor of a nightclub on the beach after the regatta finished, and somebody landed on my head. I didn't realise what was happening. The youths were climbing up on the tables and then jumping as high as they can to crowd surf. So I did actually realise that, and I saw somebody come flying towards me at the last minute, put my hand up but failed, and somebody landed straight on top of my head. And over the music I did hear my neck crunch, and yeah, I may have had 1 or 2 beverages, hence the slow reaction. And yeah, I remember thinking, wow, that really hurt. And then what happened later, the following day, it was a bit of a traumatic flight getting back to the UK. One, because I nearly didn't wake up, but fortunately Ollie looked after us. We got to the airport on time, but flight was very much delayed because there was no engine to do the cooling. So it was 31 degrees on the tarmac, 4-hour delay, and that reminds me I should probably see if I should get some compensation. But as things went on, gradually got more and more what we call referred pain. So actually, my hand, even though the neck is the problem, is very, very painful, and that's associated with a trapped nerve. So you've got that pain coming from where everything got squished, hence the nasty sound. And there's not a lot I can do now other than the massage, the pain relief, and just doing a whole series of icing. So I'm lucky Lily has a lot of equipment to try and help. I've got that soft tissue network here in Weymouth. Probably the most uncomfortable things was actually the drive to get back here, because that sitting in a van more than about 5 minutes was very uncomfortable. But you know, these nerve type injuries are very serious, and it's actually how I ended up having the triple spinal fusion a few years ago, where I had well, I guess nearly 20 years ago, where I had a similar injury and I had the pain in the hand that later developed to the numbness, etc. And I carried on training it through. Now, I'm older and I'm wiser, or at least I like to think I'm wiser, so I was very conscious just to make sure I've been completely resting since it happened. And this, you know, seeing the chiropractors, doctors could need to be very careful that not only, you know, is there nerve damage, but, you know, probably strained rib or possibly fractured vertebrae and all the rest of it. So there's a limit to the amount of treatment they can do. But this giving myself a proper recovery, I now understand very well. And this is the fundamental way that you make sure you don't turn an acute injury into chronic injury. So I'm quite lucky really to be back in the UK, and Lily's been keeping me company because doing nothing for days on end is absolute nightmare. In fact, I'm sure I'll see you on the show, because the level of pain is so significantly high, even with the naproxen, I can't actually sleep. I think one of the things for me now is just to take that time to give the body the best chance to heal. So yeah, think about injury but proper recovery. And my top tip to you: watch out for flying Ilka sailors. And yeah, I'll see you on the show.
Flying Ilka sailors, Julia. Is that scary sounding or what?
It's very scary.
I mean, John, you're too old to be dancing in a nightclub in Poland with a bunch of young people who are, you know, crowd surfing, you know, when you jump and they catch you and you push you. My goodness, John. I didn't know he'd had a serious neck already operation 20 years ago.
I sort of remember him saying that, but I would have forgotten it probably.
John, the party animal, Ed Worley is saying, physical therapy in the water may help. I've been burdened with sciatica lately. I told the guy, I mean, okay, sure, go have the chiropractor look at it. But Julia, he should be going to the neuro. If you got radiating pain down your hand, the only way you're going to get rid of that is to get the inflammation in the neck. And John's a rock star, Ted Ryman said.
And for Julie Aarons, there's a new knee gadget for sciatica, which pressurizes one place and it goes away.
Well, it's okay. I'm not going to get into all this. You believe in a lot of these devices that I'm not so sure. You should see John in the mosh pit, Graham Sweeney is saying. Oh, dear. Second time in my life, so lucky to avoid being in a wheel. Yeah, exactly, John. Go see the neurosurgeon. Go see the orthopod. Yeah, see your chiropractor. But my goodness, John. You know, I've had two major back operations. First one when I was 20, second one when I was 30. And, you know, we do a sport that's bad for your back. There's no question. And your knees, especially when we were wearing a lot of weight. We can't wear much weight anymore. We've outlawed it, thank goodness. World Sailing did, or what was then IWRU and ISAP. It's nothing that a liberal amount of Kentucky bourbon won't fix. You know, the problem with drinking, when you've got inflamed nerves, because, you know, the nerve comes out of your back, and you've done something up here in the discs, obviously, and he's already had one. He's got an appliance. He's got, you know, something. Yeah. And the nerve starts rubbing again. I mean, being a bit of a, you know, from experience, the nerve starts rubbing against the spinal column. And it inflames the nerve further, and the only way it stops hurting, and then it goes, you know, the pain or the problem radiates down your leg or down your arm. The only way to get rid of it is anti-inflammatories. I used to take Motrin, the drug they give to women for having a difficult period, you know, to help get away.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, anti-inflammatory. I don't like to take more serious stuff. You can take aspirin. Some people do well with aspirin. Some people do well with, you know, Tylenol or what have you, ibuprofen. Prevention better than cure, Pindar is saying. Absolutely, Andrew. Which frickin' idiot does the world of sailing need to avoid? Hijinks are one thing. This sounded way beyond. Well, it sure does. John says he's iced it every morning, 1,000 milligrams of naproxen, okay, and pretty much lying flat for the last week. Well, that's the other thing. There's a big controversy about whether lying flat, not getting any exercise is good for you or not. You don't want to aggravate it.
It feels better.
Jody Shields has always got here he is with his testicle comment of the day. What a pain in the testicles. Oops, too early pain in the neck. Ice baths and rum, you'll thank me later. Problem is alcohol, it can inflame the nerves further.
Anyway, we wish you peace.
Yeah, we do. But I agree. I used to try to deal with it when I was drinking bourbon back in Michigan. Who was that? Clayton Embley. Julia, that's the report from John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet.
And stay healthy.
And he likes to say, like, follow, and share. Please subscribe and share to your own Facebook and YouTube channels. We appreciate that very much. Speaking of appreciation, I want to thank Andy Rose for helping me get these kids all queued up, teed up. These interviews, there's a lot of back and forth, different time zones. Also, Will Bolden, who is the coach from Perth of Marcello Torre, the skipper on the right, who's coming back to GovCup for his second cup. And we interviewed for the first time ever all three of these guys, all three skippers, or any three skippers at the same time. Max Paul and Cole Tapper, who are from the Sydney Siders, and Cole Tapper, Marcello Torre, who sounds Italian, but he's Australian, lives out in Perth, and he was in Bali, believe it or not. I had no idea. We're trying to tee this YouTube or the Zoom call all up.
Yeah.
And he's got a dodgy internet connection, and we had to move him around until we got him close to the router in the holiday home that the family had rented. But here is this segment. A delight to have these gentlemen on with us for our episode 3 of Road to the Governor's Cup. Oh, I have a slide. See, I have a slide before we go to the video. I forgot. We've already done Jeffrey Peterson, one of the 3 American sailors. We've also done Alexander Colquitt from the GBR. Delightful. Both of these were delightful guys. They all are. It's fun getting to know them.
It is.
But it also makes us feel so good about the sport. Today, Road to the Governor's Cup resumes with the 3 Aussie skippers, Max Paul, Cole Tapper, and Marcello Torre. Now I've done the setup. Here is the video. Welcome to the 3rd episode of Road to the Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship held annually down in Newport Beach, hosted by Balboa Yacht Club. This is the 56th edition, the end of this month in July, and we're delighted today to have with us the 3 Aussie skippers, Max Paul, Cole Tapper, and Marcello Torre, along with Andy Rose, GovCup guru, who's standing by with us down in Newport Beach as well. Gentlemen, welcome. And Marcello's actually, we may have a little bit of AV challenge with him because he's not in Australia. He's in Bali, actually. So that's that'll be a challenge, but it seemed to be working here when we did a tech check. So welcome, guys. Welcome, Andy. Take it away, Andrew.
Well, welcome, everybody. This is kind of fun, Tom. We've never done this together. I haven't actually been surrounded by this many Aussies since the America's Cup. But it's needless to say, that's sort of my second country. So I'm very happy to be doing this. Tom, I think you have some slides, and then we'll ask a few questions of the guys here in a little bit.
Indeed. We'll go right to the slides, and we're going to do this in alphabetical order. So here is the first set of 4 slides. Max Paul, tell us about this windsurfing episode and what must have been in the early days of your life.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. This slide, I think, is from probably before I even knew how to sail. Both my parents are pretty keen windsurfers, so it's probably me learning how to sail when I was about, I want to say 4 years old. Not very old here. So my dad taking me out in Pittwater in Sydney. So yeah, probably a long time ago now.
And now you're sailing with Tom Burton in the 49er, and you're really having a good go in this class. Do you think you're going to have a good shot at a medal next year in Marseille?
Yeah, well, we had a good start to the year in Palma. We were second at the Princess Sophia, the first World Cup of the year, which was my best result so far on the 49er, and obviously TB is a gold medalist, so giving it a good crack. We got our Worlds after the GovCup in The Hague, so that's our next big event. It's the first chance to qualify the country too, so yeah, I mean, it's looking promising, but a long way to go yet. A lot of water to go under the bridge.
And how about the Aussie 18s? You've been campaigning, I guess, for some years now.
Yeah, I've sort of done 2 years on the 18s, but last year I was sort of cut short a bit by the 49er stuff, so I only did about half the year, but it's pretty awesome racing. Bit of a staple of Sydney Harbour, to be honest. It's been going on for a long time, so I think if you're any sort of skiff sailor in Sydney, you end up on an 18 at some point or another.
You must see Harry Price because he's on the campaigning on that same circuit, a former GovCup, winner, wasn't he, Andrew?
Two-time winner.
Two-time winner.
Yeah, no, Harry's pretty good these days. I've done a bit of sailing with Harry on the 49er actually, once upon a time. So that was pretty awesome as well. He's a pretty handy dinghy sailor as well. So no, he goes pretty well on the 18 these days.
His sister's not bad either.
Yeah, no, this is pretty good too. She's actually at the test event right now in Marseille.
Right. Yep, representing Australia in the women's 49er class, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and she's also going to be the Aussie representative for the Women's America's Cup. She's, along with a good team of Aussies, are going to represent your great country at that. Let's go to Cole Tapper. We've got some slides here. Cole is a veteran of the America's Cup. Cole, welcome. Tell us about how it was to sail in the GovCup last year. Did your brother sail with you last year?
Hey Tom, hey guys. Yeah, I was sailing with Finn last year in the GovCup. We'd been sailing together a lot, but I was sort of crewing for him, and this was the first time we swapped it around last year, so that was a lot of fun.
Who had the better finish?
I think we did manage it with a fifth. He came away sixth, I believe, but we tried our best to lose that sail off, if you remember. I think it went to like 4 races against Will Sargent, our fellow CYC member.
Is Finn too old now?
Yeah, Finn's too old. I'm sure he'd love to be back, but he can't make it over under the age bracket.
For you, Josh, this is new for you, but this is how you just, your youth versus your age at adulthood. It ends when you're no longer qualified for the Governor's Cup.
Here's another slide, Cole. This one from Oak Cliff, obviously. What was this? The Thompson Cup, if I remember well.
Yeah, that's at the Thompson Cup. It was my first time doing any match racing with a steering wheel, so it was, a big change to say the least. And I think our first couple pre-starts were just a fair flogging, but we, sort of put it together and started to get better through the week. And it was probably one of the most enjoyable regattas I've done, just because we learned so much, and you really get punished for your mistakes in those boats. So it's good learning.
Those are Swedish Match 40s, right?
Yeah, the SM 40s. A lot of boat, a lot more than I'm used to with the Elliott 7s, and they're quite different to the GovCup 22s as well.
Andrew?
You did well overall, I think, didn't you, in the Grand Slam?
Yeah. Throughout the Grand Slam, we put together some good results and managed to come away third from that. So we were really happy as a group.
Yeah, that series, just for those that I think most people know what it is, but it's a great series here in the United States of races in Chicago, Detroit, and then Long Island Sound. And it does tend to bring a really good group there. So that's quite an accomplishment, especially your first time. So good stuff.
Yeah, and here's another match racing shot. You really are a match racing specialist, aren't you, Cole?
Yeah, I can't get enough of the match racing, really. Since I finished up in dinghies, I've always sort of been drawn to the one-on-one rules battles. I find it more thrilling, I guess. So I found myself doing a lot of match racing over the last couple of years, and that's sort of what I want to keep doing.
Well, that's the correct answer, definitely, Cole. There are a number of us who would agree with you.
And you won a big one out in WA, last week?
Yeah, last week we had the Youth Nationals here over in WA in the Elliott 7s as well, sailing with a crew that we've been doing a lot of racing with, Max Brennan, Chelsea and Hamish there in that photo. And Hamish is coming over to do the GovCup with us.
And Max is sailing back with Jeffrey.
Yeah, we lose Max for the GovCup. He said when he came over to Sydney, he was like, non-negotiable GovCup, we're sailing with Balboa. So he's pretty loyal there.
Well, he's, I don't know if I'd say that. I've been accused of being a traitor ever since I sailed for you guys, but shit, he keeps going back and forth. He's a multiple traitor, It's, Winston Churchill changed parties early in his career, and his line was, well, it's one, and then he changed parties back. And he says, well, it's one thing to rat, it's another to re-rat. So I think Max is sort of the re-ratter of this group.
Andrew, just go back and in 30 seconds, refresh the memory of our audience. We've talked about this before on the show, but what you did back in 1977 as the first American, as far as we know, who went to help a foreign team, a non-American team, in the America's Cup.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to coach the Australian America's Cup team in 1974 when I was 23, and got to know, he was Bob Miller then, who became Ben Lexon, and I sailed with Bob in the One-Ton Cup in Europe, and he called me a bit later and said, why don't you sail with us this time? And I said, well, I can't, I'm an American. He said, not Mike, we read the rules. So the rest is history. So I was technician in Australia 1, and then they adopted the Rose Rule against.
Yep. Andrew, you cut out there. I hope we didn't lose you.
No, you didn't. No, but Eamon helped, write the Rose Rule.
I wrote the Rose Rule.
Prevent that from happening. But as I always said, I don't know what they were worried about. We lost all 4 races, but anyway.
Well, it was the whole idea, of course, that after that long 132-year winning streak, and of course it ended not in 80, but it ended in 83. But that's all dam over the water, as they say in where I'm from in Michigan. Let's go to Marcello Torre. Out in, he's from Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club in WA in Perth on the Swan River. And Marcello, you are in Bali. Are you on a bit of a holiday there right now?
Yeah. Morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're in Bali on a holiday with the family. So we just did that regatta last week in youth nats in Perth, which Cole came and did as well. And then kind of went to Bali right after that.
And this photo, of course, is from the Congressional Cup, last year's Governor's Cup, and that was your first. That was your first time in the GovCup, right?
Was, yeah. That's right.
Well, I think probably your only, drawback here is your coach.
Yeah.
So if you can go ahead.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Hey, you get him good on the water half the time, and then off the water he's just on the wind. So, yeah,
we're looking forward to seeing Will Bolden. He's a great guy and Governor's Cup alum, and one of the 2 co-chairs of the forthcoming Governor's Cup Alumni Association.
And I should add that I want to just a little shout out here, but thank Will for helping to tee this up. As you said, Andy, we've never done an interview of 3 skippers at once. And this is a lot of fun, and I hope the connection to Bali in particular is okay. Let's go back to a couple more photos, Marcello. Here's one of you, opti sailing when you were, 10, 11 years old?
Yeah, this is a very old photo. This one was in Queensland, some regatta we did. And yeah, that was just, I think, one of the last opti regattas I did in Queensland before going to 420 after that.
Opti, then 420, and then 470.
Yeah, so that's 420 shot out at Frio, I think. Pretty windy. But yeah, did 420 for a bit, and then tried 470 for like a year, and then match racing.
And speaking of match racing?
Yeah, that's one in Perth, the Perth Cup, I think, in the Founders. So over COVID, while we had we couldn't have people travelling over, we stopped doing the Warren Jones, and that became the Perth Cup. So that's a shot from, I think, the last Perth Cup that we did before Warren Jones last year or this year.
Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, I would just say on that when I sailed for Australia, it was a West Australia-based team, and there were some Sydney-siders, but a lot of same groupers. And West Australia, for those that aren't into geography, is a long way from Sydney. Think Atlanta to Los Angeles, and the COVID thing really hurt badly. I think Australia was very isolated as a country, and WI was was very isolated within the country. So I think it's great what you guys did, just have your own regattas and stuff like that. And now only in these last couple of years are you guys coming back to, the full participation in all the regattas, but it's still a lot tougher to, it would be like asking a California team to go to the East Coast, 4 or 5 times a year to compete. And so it's great that you've become a, great match racer and are keeping at it. So we look forward to seeing you. We also find that, for both you and Cole, the second time you sail in the Governor's Cup, I don't think anybody's ever done worse. I think you always do better. And that's just the experience of it, and the boats and, and the whole thing. Should also say, Tom, that slide you were just showing with all the entries, there's 2 unique things about this year. One is that there are 8 international teams, which is pretty amazing. That's a record. But also, if you notice, the United States only has 3. Tom, if you can show that slide with all the entries. The United States only has 3 entries, and so does Australia. So it's sort of interesting. There's just a lot of talent in other, in the other countries. The rivalry between Australia and New Zealand is always awesome. What do you know about the Seoul Kiwi entry, guys?
I don't know about the others. Maybe they started with him a bit more, but we just had the one matchup last year at Ballet, which was at the CYCA in Sydney. So yeah, I've just ran into Josh there once, but maybe others a bit more.
You guys have all sailed with him a little bit more, I think, both Max and Cole. Is that right?
Yeah, I've done a bit of racing against him. Their crews, they're a good time. They're fun sailors and they're good to race against. But they're definitely, like, in the last year and a half, like, improved like crazy. They beat us earlier this year in a final in Wellington, and they're definitely going to be someone to watch. So they'll be a good team to race against, and they're also just good value off the water as well.
Well, we like that. I'm looking forward, like last year, looking forward to teaching you guys some more Australian songs that I learned back in the day. Josh Hyde from New Zealand is younger too. By the end of the regatta, he'll still only be 19, and so he's learning a lot, and he's still young. So that's pretty impressive. The rest, it's an interesting thing, because in each case, each of the representatives of the other countries has won at least one national championship, and most of them have more than that, either collegiate, interscholastic, national match racing champion, or whatever. But as a result, and Nicholas Bernal from Brazil, for example, is also the World Youth Lightning class champion, and Lightnings aren't big in anywhere else but the United States, as far as I know, but they're a huge old one design class here. And, obviously they have them in Brazil, or they wouldn't have had the World Championship there. So, he's going to be interesting. Alec Coleman is a little bit Marcello in the same boat as you are, being from Western Canada, from Vancouver, and he's pretty much won everything he can win there. But the fact is that there just haven't been that many. Canada doesn't seem to match race as much as we do, nowhere near. And as a result, this is our first Canadian entry. It's actually our second Brazilian entry, but first Canadian entry. And the same thing with the Irish team. We just don't know. So I think there are more don't knows here than, it'll make the Monday night dinner a little tough, because I'm going to have to especially pick on you guys that I do know, because I don't have much to pick on with the others. But we'll see how that goes, Cole and Marcello.
Yeah.
Well, you have to give Max Paul a little hint about what goes on Monday night, so he can be prepared.
No, we have a cone of silence, so nobody tell Max what might go on. No, it's great fun, Max, and you'll thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm never sarcastic. I'm all upbeat, and no derogatory stuff or anything. So it's just it's the easiest thing you'll ever have to do. How's that? Describe it well?
Yeah, for our audience, on Monday night, Andy does a wonderful job of doing a Meet the Teams. It's a dinner and then a nice event. We'll stream it live. That'll be the first event that we stream live again this year for GovCup, the 56th edition. And Max, you've not seen this before, but there's a little gentle roasting that goes on at the Meet the Teams event. And now I'm sure Marcello and Cole both have something prepared, because the veterans tend to show up and have a little bit of a riposte, Andy.
Yeah, they do, and then I grind them into the dirt. And you'd think that after Sam Gilmore years ago that everybody would have stopped trying, but what the hell? Go ahead, give me your best. We'll see what happens.
Gentlemen,
the weather has finally improved here. We should say that too, that we had a very strange winter for us, the rainiest winter in modern memory, and no spring at all. And now it's summer and it's getting hot, but we should have the normal weather here, which max for you is like 8 to 10 knots. And then of course, as soon as I say that, we'll have one like we did 3 years ago where it blew 18 every day. So.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Terrific. It all worked, and we got the three of you from 3 different locales in the world, 2 in Australia, 1 in Bali. That's where Marcello is. Andy, any final thoughts?
No, I think Marcello is probably the dark horse here, in that I think he's actually there to practice against the Indonesian match racing team.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very secret. So that's probably, he can't just be having a vacation. My God, Jeffrey Peters is going to be out every day practicing.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, gents.
See you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Ciao for now. Ciao for now. Okay, so there was our little interview, 20 minutes worth. I agree with Julie Ahrens. I just think it's always fun to see the young guys, get to know them, the guys and the gals that sail in GovCup. Excuse me for wiping my nose on camera. I didn't really wipe my nose. It's a little itch, Julia. And it's not from cocaine.
You know what that means?
What does that mean?
Oh, I know.
Let's not go there. Alistair Murray's just signed on. We got an A4 from Alistair, a cool one. I mean, they're all cool, but this one's particularly cool. Mm-hmm. And just to say that wrapping up this GovCup segment, we've now done 5 of the skippers, and we're recording right after this show. We're recording Justin Callahan, who's in either Florida or Newport, Rhode Island. I think he's in Newport. And Morgan Pinckney, who's down in SoCal. We'll have them on Tuesday's show for you, Justin and Morgan. So we're still working to get all 12 of the sailors interviewed before the GovCup. We've only got one more week to do, and it's not recording. We can record them anytime. It's finding the time to air them. So we'll do that in due course. Road to the GovCup. That was episode 3. Julia?
Sir.
What happened on this day in history, the 14th of July, forgetting about Bastille Day and the French National Day, what happened on this day in history in 2019?
Must have been an America's Cup feat.
No.
No?
Julie Ahrens wants to know if I just visited the West Wing. Oh, that's the reference to cocaine. I didn't drop my... No, Julie, I didn't leave my cocaine in the West Wing. The Secret Service, they must know who that was. They got cameras all over the place, and they came out yesterday and said they have no idea who it was.
And then they can't find out.
Yeah, right. This date in history in 2019, here's your first and only clue. We like tennis on this show, too. We like sailing. We like tennis. We don't do golf much, but we like tennis.
I don't recognize who that is.
On this day, 4 years ago, 2019, Wimbledon men's tennis, Novak Djokovic wins the longest ever Wimbledon final. This was an epic match. I caught a lot of it in replay.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it live at the time. Roger Federer, who's, of course, from Switzerland, 7-6, 1-6, 7-6, 4-6, 13-12. In nearly 5 hours, 4 hours, 57 minutes, his 16th Grand Slam title on this day in history, 14th of July, 2019. I checked in just before we went there, this is actually a couple hours ago, to see that indeed Djokovic has prevailed in his semi against Yannick Sinner. Is he Hungarian? Where's he from? Yannick Sinner. I think his name's Yannick Sinner. And looks like the esteemed number one, he's ranked number 1 now, isn't he? Carlos Alcaraz Garcia. I think he was leading easily over the Russian Medvedev. So we shall see if those two, that is Djokovic and Alcaraz, are in the final. When is that? Day after tomorrow? Whenever that is, we'll have a look. This match turned the whole GOAT debate around. I agree. See, Daniel Gruen is a big tennis fan. He's always keeping me updated. Jody Shields, another crude comment, Jody. It's a good one, though. Playing with balls is great fun. Julia, shake your finger at him. My God, Jody. People are going to think. In fact, Julie Ahrens was pretty clever with her comment. I think somebody trying to frame poor Hunter Biden dropping the Coke in the West Wing. Ted Ryman, someone dropped a glass flask in a Wuhan lab.
Yes.
Okay, that's enough of that. But that match should be fun. I think this young Spaniard is just terrific. I mean, not that obviously Djokovic isn't. Okay, Road to the GovCup, episode 3. We've done that. And speaking of esteemed Aussies, guess who is up next, Julia?
Yes.
Alistair Murray. I thought we should follow up with another Aussie for his AAAA, Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for today, and it's really to kick off the 40th anniversary. We're going to be doing this. Ed Worley's going to be doing some more segments for us, but the 40th anniversary of Australia 2's win in Newport in September of 1983, ending New York Yacht Club's 132-year hegemony.
Yes.
Longest winning streak in international sports. And here is Alistair.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to AAAA, Alistair's Awesome Aussie Anecdote for the week. Things are pretty quiet here in Australia, being in the middle of winter, although we are following the fortunes of our sailors in the Olympic Test Regatta in Marseille quite closely. At this point in time, our man Matt Wern is leading the Ilka Sevens, which is good to see. So today I thought I'd just talk about the America's Cup, which has always been a central theme and a topic at Sailing Illustrated, particularly given Tom's background with it. Well, here in Australia, we're getting very close to celebrating the 40th anniversary of Australia 2 winning the Cup, which was a huge event here back in 1983. And we've got quite a few festivities planned. I recently visited Royal Perth Yacht Club and have sent a few pictures through to Tom, which he might choose to show immediately after this. They include me in the Alan Bond America's Cup room, which was quite a special place to visit, and a group of us, including the CEOs of Australian Sailing and Royal Perth Yacht Club, in the model room. There's a group of 5 of us there, and the person in the middle is actually Skip Lisserman, who sailed on Australia 2 and is one of my fellow board members at Australian Sailing. There's also a photo of one of the mounting plaques or bolt holes designed to accept the America's Cup. Bondi was an arrogant and somewhat cocky fellow, as you may well remember. He had those bolt holes cast with matching threads to the America's Cup, but cast in 1974 to accept the Cup when it came back to Australia. Well, he failed in 74, he failed in 1977, he failed in 1980, and then he finally succeeded in 1983, much to the delight of all Australians. Anyway, as I said, we're looking forward very much to celebrating across quite a range of activities that momentous win back in 1983. Well, that's all I got for you today. I'm looking forward to the show, and I wish you all the very best. Checking out from down under. Bye.
He is such a nice man, you were about to say, right, Julia? Alice.
Smiley eyes.
He has smiley eyes and a nice guy, and I think a great president of the Federation. I wish every federation in the world had somebody like Alistair as their president. Our sport would be even better as a result. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Speaking of the test event, he was talking about Matty Wern from Australia, who is leading in the Ilka 7, I believe, and I think even after today. I haven't seen results from today, but let's go have a quick look at this test event in Paris 2024. This is from actually the IOC's website, Olympic.com, ran this report about the first Paris 2024 test event is taking place in Marseille in the south of France from the 9th through the 16th, so through this Sunday. 10 sailing events are being held at the Marseille Marina as athletes, organizers, volunteers, and locals experience the Olympic atmosphere a little over a year before the Games. And as John Emmett's saying, everybody's got their eye on the competition, because this event is the barometer is pretty well the best indicator of who will probably do well next year come the Olympics themselves. Here's a report, nice video, really nice video from World Sailing featuring many of the top sailors at the test event in Marseille.
Yeah, the marathon was good. The first lap I was not in a really good position, and then I came back, so I'm really happy about it, and I finished second. Yeah, it was really long, one of the longest we never did, and was really nice. And yeah, I was super tired, and then we went again in the water, so it was a really long day. Yeah, I'm really happy about it today, because Nico did really good in all the race. So I'm really good about my second place of the day, and it's long. We have, I think, 2 days more, so let's see what happens.
Thank you. The marathon race was like a really good race. I think the longest marathon I've done so far, so 1 hour 10 for me. So over the hour thing, and it was just like really good to have this kind of race where over 40 minutes you begin to have to manage your energy levels and how you're going to do the race. And that's really a different kind of sailing compared to what you are doing. Like when we do some 15-minute races, like you're just going full on. And on marathon you have to manage, otherwise you're going to lose some lucidity and crash and everything. So it was super interesting to do it so long. I just loved it. Super fun. I won it, and that was just amazing. I had so many fights, so many comebacks. I crashed 3 times, and then I managed to come back. Then like another crash, and it was super tricky. Along the island there were some massive guts and lulls, and it was super hard not to fall. So many people crashed there because the wind was pretty hectic, and it was just like really fun. I was really fast downwind, but to the others, Nicolo just came back from like so far, and we had this amazing last downwind together, like blasting at 28, 29 knots, and it was just so good.
It was pretty good to finish like that. It was a really long day. The marathon, I had a lot of crashing. I crashed, I think, 7 times. So to finish 5th in that, I was pretty stoked. And then 3rd and a 1st, I can't complain. I'm pretty happy, and I had a really good time. I don't know, had fun. My whole body is sore and bruises, but it was fun. Like, it was a battle, like, mentally, and I think it's just cool to like push the limit and see how like fast we can go and how far we can go. I don't think there's many other sports like that, so yeah, and everyone's just like super friendly and happy on the beach, so it's a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, it was like 80 minutes. I started pretty well because I came to the first mark first, so then I kept my place all around the marathon. I won it like by far, so I'm pretty happy. Then we came back to shore for like 3 hours and came now back. We did 2 course races. It was a bit light. I thought I'm good, but I fell to the water twice. So in each like race. Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy today.
I'm happy today, she said there. Mostly focus on the IQ fog because they had their medal race, and the breeze, it was pretty light early on in this series, and then the Mistral.
Oh, yes, the Mistral.
Came up here, and it was, as Gordon Smith says, nice-looking conditions, or at least it was there on the final day or so. Julie Aaron's back and forth with Jody about teeth and what. Okay, I'm not going to read any of those comments. I agree with Gordon Smith, though. That was a really nice report from Alistair Murray, as usual. Don't bolt the cup down too tightly, Ronald Reagan said. He had them to the White House after they won, in fact. Good stuff all around. Thank you very much indeed for that World Sailing video on this segment. I thought it was good to follow up and give you a little update. That regatta ends on Sunday. That is the test event in Marseille. Maybe have a bit more of a report on the results next Tuesday. In the meantime, we have a Fozy Focus, 2 Fozies in focus today, our Cool People segment. And this is a regatta going on Long-time regatta, one of the oldest in the country. It is, you recognize that club, Julia?
It's the one next to the New York Yacht Club, is it?
No, that's in Martha's Vineyard. That is Edgartown Yacht Club, and what used to be called Edgartown Raceway. I think it's just now called the Edgartown Regatta because it's, I think, 4 days long now, Thursday through Sunday. But it is going on the 100th regatta. They have nice conditions. They have small boats on the first couple of days, and then big boats, keel boats on the weekend. And guess what? Our formerly Fuzzy Fozzie, now clean-shaven Fozzie, Rick Bannerow is there giving us a report from Edgartown Yacht Club on the small boats, on the Club 420s at least.
Greetings, Tom and Julia. Day 2 of the Edgartown Yacht Club's 100th regatta. We have Club 420s and Opties racing today, with the big boats starting tomorrow. Looking forward to giving you more coverage.
So that's just a little quick shot from Rick Bannerow, who gets around the Northeast and is helping to keep us much better posted on what's going on in our beloved sport in the Northeast. Now, another Fozzie that we want to focus in on, I was texting back and forth with this morning. He sent this photo. Do you see that? Now, you Brits, you Scots, you probably, and most of you Europeans will know that John O'Groats is in the north, it's kind of the opposite of Land's End. And you know who that is, Julia. That's Pindar.
Oh, sure.
Andrew is out and about. He said, I thought I would pop to the top of mainland Scotland and wave at Graham Sweeney. He said, however, I need longer arms because he's another 200 miles to the north up there on Shetland, a Yell. So he's in the northern part of the mainland, I guess you would say, of the UK. And he sent along, sorry, I don't know this photo. Do you, Julia?
Mm-mm.
But apparently it's one of the oldest structures in the UK and up there in Scotland, obviously. And what a beautiful shot that is. So this is your travel log segment of the show today.
Oh, nice.
Why is he there? Well, it's Caroline, I believe is his daughter, who has cycled, has ridden her bike. He says, I'm in the very north of Scotland gathering up Caroline, who just completed her LEJOG. That's stands for Land's End to the John O'Groats, being the southern and northern extremities of the UK mainland. I mean, can you imagine that? It's a long ride. We then have a couple of days of sightseeing and hiking ahead of a week of salmon fishing on the fabulous river, as you say, Oikel? Oikel, I hope that's the right pronunciation. With friends and family, an annual trip of over 40 years.
Wow.
And Graham Sweeney said, I did wave back, Andrew. Nice sentiment. Our Fozzie. Nice. You know, it struck me, Julie, the other day. We haven't met most of the Fozzie in person. Some of them we have. You know, Alistair I've known. I've never met John Emmett in person.
No.
And never met Graham Sweeney in person. But I feel like they are long time friends by now, right?
And they are.
Well, they are indeed. And I think that daughter, it's his wife. It's his wife, Caroline. Oh, my goodness. Okay, Andrew. Well, we don't know your wife, but now we do.
Yes.
Bravo Zulu to her. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
So you see, we learned something about our Fozzie and their families, and it's a fabulous thing. And it's interesting. I'm going through Facebook, Julie, and I see how many people whom I also, Fozzie, who I don't think knew each other prior to the show, are commenting on each other's Facebook pages and making nice comments and going up. I think Andrew probably did know Graham Sweeney. But I digress. He also, I asked Andrew to tell us a little bit about what happened at Foiling Week, because last we knew he was at Lake Garda, Lago di Garda. Mm-hmm. And he said, Foiling Week was a wonderful 10-day celebration of the 10 years since Luca Rosati created it. 10 classes of foiling boats and over 400 sailors competing, plus the Sumoth Challenge supported by 11th Hour. It was full on and fantastic, growing from strength to strength. So that's from Andrew Pindar, Bravo Zulu. Andrew, thank you for that Fozzie submission, and also to Rick Bannerow for yours. Stingray saying, is that an omnivorous or omnivorous? Orca out there in the background replying to Andrew Pindar, she will like that. Can I suggest a short clip to be saved for her birthday?
Oh, yes.
Are the lake? Yeah, that's the normal lake level, Stingray, I think. I mean, more or less, I believe. I have to ask Andrew Pindar. Great stuff. Much appreciated, Andrew Pindar. And as I said, Rick Bannerow. It gets us, that does what Luca Craig down in Auckland. Andrew, how many days for the bike ride? Good question. From the bottom to the top of the United Kingdom. That is a good question. I was wondering that myself. I wonder how many miles or kilometers it is, too.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, from Land's End in the southwest all the way up.
It's got to be ways.
Andrew says the spring rains have replenished the lakes in Italia.
Oh, that's okay.
We'll go back and let's see if another comment pops up here from Andrew or otherwise. They're probably doing a little. Well, Andrew must know that off the top of his head. Anything else? Okay, we'll carry on here. We'll go back and get that comment in a moment. It gets us to the last leg, which I had it in the show notes at the top of the show. So you're probably wondering what this was all about. Thanks, Stingray, for the link to the New Zealand Herald piece. I did talk to a couple of our FOSI in New Zealand last night about this story in the New Zealand Herald. Headline, $2 million Kiwi loss, still, I mean, it's a lot of money, loss for the America's Cup Sailing Club, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, which is in, as we reported before, apparently in serious financial trouble. And this is the article, the excerpt from it. The Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron's estimated trading loss for the last financial year has risen to almost $2 million as the club hunts for savings in a bid to, quote, achieve long-term sustainability, unquote. Auckland's Blue Ribbon Sailing Club, known for its links to the America's Cup, earlier this year reported it was looking at between 1.4 and 1.6 million loss, a loss of that amount. It blamed the loss on impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and stormy weather in early 2023, and immediately started a, quote, reset, unquote, journey to turn its finances around. In an update to members yesterday, of which I have a copy, the club said its 5-month reset journey had made, quote, considerable progress, unquote, but that the estimated loss had also climbed. Remember, we were telling you some time ago, they were looking at, $1 million plus loss.
Right.
They didn't know how much. They appointed the Blue Ribbon panel and yada, yada. We reported on that months ago.
Right.
And we really haven't dwelled on it because we hope they come good. I'm sure they will come good. But all this, I'm sure the COVID had something to do with it. I'm sure the weather had something to do with it. But this is what the real issue is, as we all know.
Yes.
Media outlet Business Desk, this is the New Zealand Herald article continuing. Media outlet Business Desk reported in March that unnamed sources suggested the club had also suffered membership losses because of its decision last year to allow the next America's Cup to be sailed in Barcelona rather than in Auckland. Emirates Team New Zealand won the last America's Cup in Auckland, as you all know, in 2021, but then argued it was not financially viable for the 2024 event to be held in New Zealand. Business Desk also said high-profile RNZ members to have resigned over the Barcelona decision included original backer of NZ's bids for the Cup, Sir Michael Fay, Auckland King's Counsel Jim Farmer, Alan Sefton, and Andrew Johns. Johns was the legal advisor for Phase 3 New Zealand bids, and Alan Sefton, a senior serious media guy, was the PR guy for those campaigns, and more. So what's going on? Well, the truth is probably all of the above. A quote from the Commodore, who's there on the left, Andrew Aitken. The financial loss for this year will be closer to $2 million, he said in the newsletter to the members. Again, this is the New Zealand Herald article. I am not quoting from that the newsletter to the members. This is higher than originally forecast due to the review and reset of our fixed asset register, Commodore Andrew Aitken wrote in the newsletter. Much of the extra projected loss was due to asset write-offs, Commodore Aitken said. He did not wish to comment when contacted by the New Zealand Herald, but he concluded his newsletter update to members by saying significant work is underway to, quote, ensure that as we move forward, a sustainable business model is in place so that the club breaks even, unquote.
Good, and as it should be.
Yeah, and Julia, we sincerely hope, but we don't wish it
No.
bad luck to any club or bad fortunes, financial or otherwise.
Especially them.
On any club, yeah, especially one as prestigious as the RNZ and as the Defender Trustee of the America's Cup. But we know what the blame is. And I've talked to sources down there again in the last 24 hours. We know what the problem is that a lot of people have left the club in disgust. A lot of people who are still members are not going to the club, and their bar is losing money, their restaurant is losing money. And this event, as I've been saying, should have been in New Zealand. It should not have gone offshore. I still think, Julia, this is going to cost the RNZ and Emirates Team New Zealand the cup, because they are going to find out how difficult it is to, just like Oracle Team USA, when I argued strongly against it going to Bermuda. And guess what happened? They went to Bermuda and lost.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of all that. We probably got some comments here. Ed Worley, why? I'll start at the very bottom, replying to, and it would take about a year. A lot of pubs between. Okay, they're back on drink. This is the drinking show with the sailing habit. Ed Worley, why are the club officers talking like politicians? Just tell the members the truth. I think they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The members aren't stupid. I mean, they're very bright. And Stingray saying they're truly ignoring the truly historical ties between the RNZ and whatever Barcelona Yacht Club is. Yeah, right. Please note the surname of the Rear Commodore. What was the surname of the Rear Commodore? Okay, Andrew Pindar. Gary Scarborough.
Oh, yes.
At least it's not Scarbados. I know Jillian Williams. She is a very bright, cool person. We'll see how that all pans out. But I'll tell you what, this group and their so-called general committee, which is their board of directors.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to see in a minute what I think of them. What other comments here? GD doesn't care, Stingray says, so long as he can cash in big and then disappear into retirement. Money matters over legacy. Graham Sweeney, Clayton Allen, the cups have been cursed ever since they unbolted it from the cabinet at New York Yacht Club. Some would argue, Graham, that it was cursed even before that. Gordon Smith, so the members who left were not really interested in actually sailing themselves. Well, I'm not sure that's true.
No, I
remember Hamish Ross,
Yeah.
Julia. Hamish Ross left the club, and he's a keen sailor, as was Sir Michael Fay in his day.
Yes.
So, it's sad. Alistair Murray, sorry, but Dalton and his team lost the plot. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
President of the Australian Federation. It should only have, what did he say? It should only have been
Done
in New Zealand.
Yeah.
In front of their adoring supporters.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with that, Julia.
I do.
Any other comments here before we move ahead? Yeah, that's a pretty good summary from President Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that gets us, blessedly, to the finish line.
Yes.
And what, hour and 24 minutes we're about, an hour and 24 minutes into the show. If you're just joining us, it's been a lot of fun back in the saddle again here at the Beach Street Yacht Club Studio B, after being a couple weeks on vacation in Michigan, seeing my family and friends there, particularly my beloved mother. I hope she's watching. Thanks to this Davis Island Yacht Club. We always thank Bill Wingrove for this shot. Anybody else wants to send a shot in for either that starting sequence at the top of the show or any of these other segment shots, we'd appreciate it. The winners of the day. This is a photo and a headline from La Vanguardia, which is a website in Catalunya, in Barcelona. Winners of the day, Barcelona and Catalunya. This is a headline from a couple days ago. Barcelona, a transformation of 120 million euros to open new windows to the sea. The arrival of the America's Cup has accelerated the renewal of Barcelona's waterfront with more than 20 projects to improve Port Vel and the Port Olímpico, which is where the 92 Olympics were held. And then another article from a few days ago, same publication, the America's Cup seeks to seduce the people of Barcelona already this summer. Seduce, this is English translation, to seduce people to come to Barcelona already this summer. Indeed, the teams are building their bases in Port Val to train. This is actually from a month or so ago. And they are training by rule. The teams have to be in Barcelona training by July 1st, and they can't train someplace else after July 1st. And the teams are all there now. New York Yacht Club is there. I just got a press statement from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, or from ETNZ, both, that their team is there, and they've actually done their first day of sailing there in Barcelona as well. So the winners of the day, Barcelona and Catalonia, no doubt. No doubt. Losers of the day, the croutons du jour, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, their leadership, their general committee, their flag officers, croutons, for letting the cup go, for just rolling over.
Yes.
And saying, okay, Mr. Dalton, take the cup away from here. And we're not, and it's the same. I was Vice Commodore of Golden Gate, so I know this firsthand. And I argued with my board, I argued with my Commodore, I argued with Larry and Russell, and it went to Bermuda, and it was a huge mistake. We would have figured out how to finance it here in San Francisco. Remember, Bermuda offered $70 million.
Yes.
Their dollar's the same as parity with the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
And what happened? We lost, and the Kiwis won, and Bravo Zulu to them. But now why do we repeat the same mistake? Some people suggest that Mr. Dalton is the worst thing to happen to the cup since
sliced cheese.
No, not sliced cheese. I'll use that quote on Tuesday, but I had a couple people in New Zealand say since a long time ago. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Lord Dunraven was the person they compared it to. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and we have some fun ones. We have some not so fun ones. It's a real struggle to stay on a healthy omega-3 rich diet when junk food is so readily available.
Yes.
You like that?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Subtle, right?
Yeah.
Joe Holtzman sent that in for here. Now, Julia, this one's especially for you, and I'm calling this Sailing in the Mainstream Media. This is not a political statement. This is Sailing in the Mainstream Media. It's a political cartoon out, I think, yesterday, the day before, with President Biden and he was just on the beach at his summer home in Rehoboth, Delaware, and he was seen in shorts, something like that. But here he is skiing behind a sailboat. A sailboat. Sailing in the Mainstream Media. I'm going to call these slides. Thanks again to Joe Holtzman. What do you think? Sailing makes it. I mean, this is good.
Yeah.
To see this. Now, I'm going to call this the mean meme of the day.
Awful.
I don't know if it's too early to run this one. At Subway, which is a big sandwich chain here in the U.S., our subs don't implode.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
I think it's too early, don't you think?
Yeah.
I call that the mean meme of the day. That was sent by Ted Ryman in the Republic of South Africa, but he redeemed himself with this one. We are vegan. What should we order? You can tell the punchline, Julia.
A taxi.
A taxi. I like that. And speaking of my vacation, it's good to be back here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in Studio B. And apropos all of that, Ed Worley sent this cartoon saying, ever feel guilty just sitting here wasting time? And the lady, I guess it's a lady, somebody who identifies as a hat-wearing person anyway, the time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time.
For sure.
You agree with that, Julia?
Absolutely.
And I want to thank everybody who sent me so many kind comments during the 14 days, 12 days we were away. And it was great to be back. I go back every year, at least, the summer when it's warm. It's nice, not so much in the winter. But it's great to see my beloved parents and siblings and family and friends and everybody. And thank you for putting up with the technical. Well, it was okay. The shows were okay.
It was all right.
I pack in my roller bag and my little briefcase, my clothes, and your little toiletry bag, and a mobile television studio, 2 laptops, a couple cameras, a headset, and so on. Get it all in there. If you can't get it in, don't take it.
Yep.
Do your wash while you're there. So on. Julia, your witness.
Yes. Be a good show to like, follow, and share.
They all are a good show to like, follow, and share. You always say, right?
I do.
Comments are welcome, even in replay. And if you are so inclined, we hope you will join us as a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Please become a patron. Give us a few bucks a month to help keep us on the air. This is, in fact, viewer-supported media. You know, more and more newspapers are going behind a paywall and saying, you know, give us a couple, $3, local, national, international, all over the place.
Right.
Thank you to all of those who supplied audio, video, and images for today's show. Look at this list carefully. A lot of material come in. We couldn't do it without them. We couldn't do it without the Fosey. Ed Worley, thank you for doing the show on the road. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And if you can't get it in, try... Jody! Did you see that comment, Julia? Give him another finger wag. That's so funny.
I just don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Exactly right. Joe Holtzman, thank you, sir. Yeah, it was fun to do the shows. It's not that difficult. It's just a lot easier here in Studio B. Clark Chapin, I wouldn't come back in the winter either if your dad is going to make you stay. With that little cottage is not winterized, so it's okay to stay there. So it's okay to stay there in the summertime, right on the water. SI on tour, Gordon Smith. Maybe we'll get to some of your other locales, some of your other clubs, not just Michigan, and do a show on the road here at some point. But we will be down in Newport Beach a week from tomorrow. I think I'm going down there a week from tomorrow.
24th, yeah.
Yeah, because then the regatta is, what's tomorrow's the 17th, 21st? No, it's the following week. I got it one more week. And the GovCup is the 24th through the 29th. So it is a week. No, it is a week from tomorrow that I'm flying down there, I think. Yeah, a week from tomorrow. We've done those 5, as we mentioned a bit earlier. We're going to do on Tuesday, we'll have Justin Callahan and Morgan Pinckney for you. We're going to record that in just a couple hours. Looking forward to having them. They're terrific sailors, as are all these kids. Wonderful to get to know more about them. Julia, any final thoughts?
No, but the GovCup is really wonderful because those young sailors are just terrific.
They are, and the club, Balboa Yacht Club, does a wonderful job putting it on. Mm-hmm. We do 10 shows, live shows down there in a week, starting with the roasting, the meet the teams and Andy's roast of the
ashore and afloat.
Ashore and afloat. We do live racing, the semis and finals on Friday and Saturday, and press conferences, and I do a morning show every morning. We'll do Tuesday's show down there. So we'll do a show next Tuesday, next Friday. I'll fly Saturday. We'll do Tuesday's show down there, but then we won't do a show on the Friday of GovCup week when we're out in the water doing the...
But you can acknowledge it.
Well, we will, of course. We will, of course. And we'll read the comments from the Fosey, too, if you're signing on live for that coverage. Okay, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julia. Hope to see you on Tuesday when we'll do this again. Same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.